Hello again, everybody. This is Virtual Farmer Ken Bob. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19, and we are actually starting a series on the Welker Farms map. I have gone ahead and prepared the map for play, and I am just going to do a tour right now. Just basically kind of show all the equipment that I'm going to try to use on this game. In this particular series, and kind of just fill you in on what my plans are and my hopes, and maybe see if I can incite some ideas from people who are watching this. But basically, I've found as many mods as I could to try to match the real life farm as far as the actual used equipment goes. The things like the cars and all that they don't use, I didn't really get into trying to find that, because that's all stuff that I don't really need to be able to farm and so forth. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get into this, and I will start off by letting you know some of these things I had to dig deep for, but most of them are Welker Farms specific. Like as you can see on here, this 620, it has a Welker Farm sticker on it right there, and I just thought that was pretty cool. I had another one that I was using. It was a 25th anniversary, I believe it was, or 125th. I can't remember exactly, but anyhow, there are some things that are not exact. Like this here is a 2596 Brent Auger wagon, but they have a 2096 that they were using. I realized it was not actually something that was theirs. They were basically just demoing it, and so it has not stayed on the farm. But given the in-game capabilities and the fact that I'm basically doing this by myself, I choose to go ahead and use an auger wagon to fill the semis, because otherwise I'd be basically chasing my tail all the time. I probably still will anyhow, but this kind of just gives that little bit more of a gameplay sight. Gives you a little bit more action to do instead of just running a combine around a field and chasing it with a truck. In this case, we're going to park trucks on the field, and we're going to chase the combine with this slower tractor. That'll give us a little bit more of a challenge, but hopefully it'll be fun. I mean, the whole intent is to have fun with this. I'm not looking for perfection. Okay, right after I started this, real life stepped in. So anyhow, getting back to what we were doing, let's go over here and take a look inside this quad track. All right, let's get inside. Okay, now as you can see, it is fairly decently modeled. I mean, I really like this thing. I was checking it out to a YouTube video on the Welker Farms, and I was pretty well impressed. You turn it on, and those monitors all light up, as you can see. And of course, the one right there in the middle looks like a cell phone. That one should be the one that tells us when we're in forward, reverse, and so forth. I do have a gear mod running, so I can change gears, but it doesn't really reflect that up there on the, well, not change gears, but change forward and reverse. But that monitor doesn't necessarily display whenever we're in forward or reverse. So, but if you, turned it off by mistake. If you look down there, all the colored knobs down below this center white monitor, all those knobs are colored just like the ones on the actual tractor. I just thought that was pretty cool. Tells you what your hydraulic hookups are, or it's based on what the hydraulic hookups are. I mean, whatever's purple up in the cab is purple in the hookups, but I don't think they have that modeled here on the tractor. Nope. It doesn't look like it. They're all the same color. So unless the hose itself is, I'm not the hose, but the hookup. But if that's the case, we wouldn't see it anyhow because the hookups are either covered by a plastic cap or there's a hose on them. Okay, so let's jump out of this tractor. Oh, I better shut it off. There we go. Now, as we jump out of this tractor, we'll run over to this next one here, and we've got us a Big Bud 600. Again, the Welker sign is on it. And this one's pulling the seeder with the air cart and the planter on it. And it does have the scoop where you have to load the seed into it from back of a truck. But anyhow, we go into the cab on this one, and you can see it's not quite as sophisticated in the number of monitors it has, but it's fairly detailed. I mean, there's a pretty good amount of stuff going on in here, and for a person who's never been in a tractor before, I'm pretty well impressed with the amount of stuff that it displays. Anyhow, got a few knobs over here and controls and so forth. But I did have two different Big Bud mods on here, and I went ahead and got rid of them, mainly because these had the Welker Farm sign on them. The other ones had a little bit better lighting. You could look in whenever I turn the lights on, I've got the lights fully on now. Well, there they are, fully on. And I've got the hazards flashing, which you can see flashing off the stack pipe. But there's nothing in the back showing. So it does show up in the front, but there's no flashers or anything like that on the back. And so I'm kind of a little bit disappointed about that. And then, of course, whenever you put on your brights, it goes to side view, and you can't hardly see straight out in front of you. So the brights is more of a side view. And you can tell whenever we turn on, there's the first setting, and then that turns on the rear light, and then this turns on those side lights right there just on the platform. But when those come on, they completely and totally cover over the four lights right in the front. So, I mean, I'm not doing a mod review here, so I guess I shouldn't be, going into too much on this, but basically, just trying to show you all the equipment, of course. And then we have the 450 over here, and again, it's from the same modding company with the Welker sign on it, and we're pulling the other air cart and seeder. And just like on the actual Welker Farms, they've got a Series 1 and a Series 2 Big Bud, and one's a higher horsepower and the other one's lower horsepower, but they both pull a seed cart. So I thought, well, let's have a 450 and a 600, and they're not exact matchups. I believe they have a 525, and I'm not sure what the other one is, but here, of course, we have the Big Brute. And now, unfortunately, it does not have the stainless steel tank on it. I don't know how to basically mock up these mods to make them more resemblant, look more like the actual equipment. But being a Big Brute, to me, I guess that kind of does the job. So anyhow, so we got our Big Brute, and we use this for our fertilizer. And then on the Patriot, I could not find an Apache. I looked everywhere. I even realized that Apache was a brand of its own, like Equipment Technologies or something like that makes those. And they're not actually a Case IH sprayer, which I always thought they were. But this one is a Patriot. They did demo a Patriot at one time. So, I mean, we've at least got a little bit of similarity in the fact that we're using a Patriot on the Welker Farms, because they did have one on the farm at one time. And then, of course, they're international. This is not an international, but unfortunately, I couldn't find an international in the colors of theirs. So I found this one. I just searched Welker. I think it was on FS19.net or something like that. And I found this truck. It's pretty much the exact same color scheme. The the fuel tank and the steps are kind of backwards. I believe the fuel tanks are in the front, and then they have the steps for the cross plate here. But I mean, I guess you can't complain too much, because 90% of the time, the only time we'll really be looking at these is when we're driving, and it'll be like this right here, so we won't even notice all that other stuff. But at least we have some similarities. And I did find a Demco grain trailer with a double drop, so I was kind of happy about that. I mean, to me, this looks the same color and everything. Don't know exact, because I'm not real good with my eyes, so the color to me looks the same though. And of course, I could not find a Peterbilt that would match both of the Peterbilts they had. This one here, I mean, it's got the straight pipes instead of the small pipes that are angled, kind of like this one here. But I mean, it's close to the Peterbilt that they have. It does not have the third drop axle, unfortunately. I mean, I could probably find one that's closer to that, but it wouldn't be a Peterbilt as far as I remember. And then, of course, this one, I can't remember if it was a Peterbilt. I think it is. But the red one had like a rubber bumper or a hard plastic bumper. And this one, of course, doesn't. And I can't find too many mods out there of trucks that do. I mean, there might be... Okay, I know. I moved it. But, and the trailers. I couldn't find like a Leland trailer. The other trailer that I found that was like a Tempty trailer. I think there was another one, but I can't remember if it was a Fruhoff or what it was. But it had a third axle back here, so I couldn't bring myself to do that. It just didn't look right enough to me, because the drop axle was in the back, so both the tandems were up like here, and then there was a space right in here, and then the drop axle was on the very end. And to me, it just did not fit. I couldn't sell it to myself, so I didn't figure I could sell it to anyone else. So, of course, we got our gooseneck right there. And this one does not have a rubber bumper. I thought it did, but it's still metal. But this is an International. I believe their white truck is a Volvo, but I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I didn't really review the video before I came into this little tour that I'm doing. So, unfortunately, I can't give real good comparisons, but just know that everything I did was to try to resemble as best as I could to what the actual farm has. But obviously, I couldn't be exact on some things. But this is an auto load trailer. We don't hardly ever do any bales on Welker farms. In real life, they don't do them at all. I do know that they have a person that comes in and swaths their grass at times for their horses. But as far as the actual farm itself goes, I don't believe they bale anything. So whenever we do that, it's going to be like a custom job, and we don't have the equipment for that. We'd either have to lease it or borrow it during the contract stage. So I'm trying to be as realistic as I can as far as the equipment that we have and that we use. But once again, there are some things we have to do for gameplay. Otherwise, it would get just exceedingly boring. And I'm going to try not to do that. This 4540 Titan, I know they don't have one on the Welker farms. The only reason I went ahead and put this on our farm is because it does spread lime. It does dry fertilizer, and then it does lime. So I had to have something to be able to spread lime with, and to me, this was probably the best answer other than using the in-game trailers. because then it would take up a tractor, and there's only one tractor on the farm. So I figured it'd be better to just go ahead and have a piece of equipment that handled that job all by itself. And I mean, it still has a pretty good range, not range, but uh, a spread path. Well, I can't get it to go in the. Let's try it from the other side here. There we go. I mean, I can unfold the arms, and they're 18 meters. I think that's what they call it, 18 meters. But they open up pretty wide. They're just as good as the trailers that they come with the extension. I think the trailer with the extension is like 18.6 meters, and with this being 18 meters, I figured it was probably far enough that it was good. You know, it'd work. So anyhow, there's that little piece of equipment there. And it's a shame they don't have one of these, but I don't even know if they spread lime on their fields. I mean, with as many acres as they handle, they talk about the earth being really good once they've turned it enough, that it's pretty good by itself. So I don't know if they even have to use lime or anything like that. This Terrigator, I went ahead and put it back here as a piece of the junk equipment, I guess. I mean, it does run, obviously. It's they don't have junk mods that I know of. So this one actually does run, but I put it back here and put it in park. So whenever I shuffle through equipment, it don't shuffle into this. I thought it made a really good marker for this tire that sits here on the ground. You don't see that tire until you're pretty near right on top of it. And if you're coming down through here running hot to go up to the side of these trees and you forget that tire's there, you're going to have an air show. And I didn't want to have that. So I figured it would be a good thing to do is to put this Terrigator that they used on the show. Matter of fact, I think they just did this in the last 2 videos they did. But they took the stainless steel tank off of this and put it on that big brute. So that there again is just a piece of eye candy, if you will. And then of course this Versatile. It's an 855. Theirs is a 1055. I couldn't find one exact. I mean the name is in yellow instead of white like theirs is. This bumper part right, or not the grill part right here, I think is red on theirs. And then of course, you know, just a bunch of things that are different about it, but it does run. I just figured it'd be another piece of eye candy to just kind of park out here since they have one on their farm and they talked about doing a restoration on it. I thought, well, I found this mod, so I'll just go ahead and put it on the farm, and if they ever pull their 1055 into service, then maybe we can pull this into service. Until then, we'll just make do with the big buds that we've got. So let's navigate around all these weeds, tall bushes. And over here, I have the wheel loader sitting here. It's a John Deere. It's not exact. Again, the color is kind of off. The name back here on their John Deere, it has the whole name John Deere all the way across. I don't even remember what model it is they have. But in this case, I think theirs is an 844 or something like that. And this is a 524K. And of course, we do have the big bucket. I thought about going with a John Deere bucket instead of a Maxi, but I was quite surprised by whoever made that mod. They kind of put a picture on the side of it that wouldn't be a good family-friendly picture, so I chose not to use that bucket and figured I'd just use a Hogsy or a Maxi, or I don't remember what that is. But of course, here's our 45-foot Draper headers for the combines, which I haven't shown you yet, but we'll get to them. I don't have any corn headers on the farm. They don't do corn in real life, so if we do any corn, it'd be down the road, and you know, with just people's approval, or you know, of course we could always use it for a contract. And then we just borrow the equipment like you would for any other contract job and just call it custom farming, you know. So and then here's the 7140. I've got the bucket on it. It's got a front loader just like the real thing. However, this one does not have a Case IH front loader. I'm not even sure if I could find one. I've tried to look for one, but so far no luck. I'm not sure. I'll probably go in the cab here and check this, but I don't know why that door is not shut. I didn't even know it was open. Yeah, I can't figure out how to shut it. Maybe it's one of those ones that I've never noticed it be open before. So I don't know what we're gonna do there. But until I figure it out, I guess we'll just drive with the door open on it. So anyhow, this of course is pretty similar to their 7140. There's dual wheels on the back. I wished I could find one that had the dual wheel extension without the wheel on it. That way, because I think that's how they run their tractor for the most part, is dual wheel extension but no extra wheel. So I mean, unless they're doing real work with it where they need that stability. Because I think this one mainly gets used for lifting and maybe digging holes or something like that. But I did put an extra shop mod out here because a lot of times I find it easier to just pull up here with those big implements that we have. Just pull down the road right here and pull up in front of the shop and then do our repair work out here. I think if you go in here and then in here, I'm not sure, but it seemed to me like maybe this was a different map I'm thinking of, but it seemed like there was maybe it was over right here on this rack, but it's just, even if it's on the rack, there's no way to get them big tools inside this shed. So I figured I'd just go ahead and put the repair shop right here, and I mean, it's close to the shop. It's pretty much in the shop. Oh, looks, our lights just came on. I didn't realize it was already 5 o'clock. And then of course I have a movable wash spray I can't think spray washer here. I wash pretty much everything after every job as best as I can remember. Sometimes we're in a hurry and we just drop it off here in front and take off and go get the next thing done. But of course we got our nice little pickup truck here. I think theirs is a GMC, and this one of course is the in-game truck. I don't have a GMC mod that I could find. And then of course this retriever, it's not what they have, I realize, but it's the only thing I could find that had the extended bed on it with a dual wheel, 2 wheels on each side. So kind of one of those things. I just had to make something that would fit. And of course this is a TV 370, not a TV 380, but it's a case and it's red. And of course they just don't, their forks don't have this guard on the top. It's just the forks on the bottom. But it works. I think it's pretty close to the relevant. It's pretty much exact look from a distance. And then we go in here and guess what? We actually have some 8230s, which is what they have. I don't have a beast spine design. These both have the fixed reservoir on the top. I don't know of any 8230s out there that has the folding reservoir. But I was pretty satisfied with these. I mean, they only have front lighting. The rear lighting doesn't work on them, which, I haven't seen too many combines that do have rear lights. That light you're seeing right there, that's the auger light. That's not a rear light. That's just the light off the auger. I'm not going to open it too far. But I'm not going to open it at all right now because I'm not unfolded. What in the... Oh, okay. All right. Hey, looky there. There's a light inside the tank. So I guess I never knew about that. But anyhow, so with that open, if you notice, that light comes out whenever I open. I better not go too far. So anyhow, so that's the main equipment. And now for the best part of the show. I mean, I guess you could say that. They do not have any 747s on the Welker farms, but I found these that were part of the same package that those were part of. And I thought, well, you know, I think I'm going to go ahead and put them to use because we could use them on these implements here. And that would leave those for the seeders. And to me, that just seemed like it was a very good, you know, pretty good trade-off. Now, the one thing I can tell you, they have the same lighting issues, I believe. Let me see here. Oh, they have the lights that they do work in the rear. But let's see, we got all 1, 2, and then there's no brights on it. That's what was the difference. And of course, you know, they've got the fire extinguishers and the hazardous or the hazard triangle. But these implements here, they look exactly the same. They're an ST820. But this one right here is a plow. It is set up in the game as a plow. I got it with the big buds. Let me disconnect it here and you'll see what I'm talking about. Oops, I turned it on. I'm still getting used to my buttons. But as you see, it says FlexiCoil Big Bud Tillage. So I don't believe they plow in the real farm. But on this game, I do have plowing turned on. Only because if we ever do handle any corn or anything like that, there could be contracts that would come up. And if we could get a plowing contract, well, that's an extra couple $1,000s or so that we could gather. So I figured I'd go ahead and do that. And whenever you first start the game, whether you have plowing on or off, see, I've got crop destruction off, periodic plowing on. But when you first start the game, whether you have it on or not, you have to plow this first field. It's always like that. I've never seen it not be that way on any map I've ever played. So I went ahead and got the plow so that first of all I can take care of this and not have to look at that for the next however many months we're playing this map. And then I figured if we ever got a plowing job, I would have a new piece of equipment to be able to handle that. So anyhow, that's pretty much a breakdown of what I've got here. Some of these trailers are a little higher volume. I guess I should point that out. This one here is about 100,000. I think this one here is 110. No, it's 80,000. So okay, that's right. The single bottom. I went ahead and used the dual bottom option of this particular trailer, and it's only 80,000. But the single drop bottom is 110,000. The Demco that we have on the International is 100,000. And then this one down here, this Tempty, I changed it because originally it was only like 38,000 liters. And that would mean it would barely get half of that grain cart over there, and it would be, you know, full. And so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and double it and see how it works for that, because that's close to 100,000 and 80,000, which is what the other trailer right here is. So I thought, well, they're all pretty close in similarity as far as capacity goes. So I went ahead and left it at that. But anyhow, I look forward to getting started on this. I hope I didn't bore you too much going through all this. I mean, it's not like I can raise the hoods and all that and show you all the engines and everything else like that. But hopefully you'll join me on this next journey, and we'll have some fun here on the Welker Farms map, and maybe play on it for a little while and see how it goes. But anyhow, until next time, You all have a great day and stay safe out there.